Grid being cleared at the moment. The start, as I said, will be imperative for Grice. We carry race cam. Alan Grice is at the ready, and they're racing and getting away smartly. The full field is dispatched. One BMW is slow to start at the tail of the field, but here they come, heading down to the hairpin, and George feels like he's got the line for the turn. Here comes Gricey up. He will not give in, but he'll have to, because George Fury is in fact going to win the charge into the hairpin corner. Grice drops into second. Brock is the next one back behind them. Jimmy Richards is out smartly. Glenn Seaton sits in behind them, and as they head down towards Coca-Cola, you'll notice that Alan Grice getting up on the tail here of George Fury.
Well, what a very, very strong start from George Fury. Alan Grice right in behind him at the moment will push him all the way as they go down to the left-hander at Coca-Cola. Gricey through on the inside. George Fury gets shoved back one position. Lots brakes being locked as they go through that left-hander. One of the JPS BMWs skates out wide. I think that was Jim Richards. That allows Glenn Seaton to come up into fourth place. So the order as they come round to win lap number one will be Alan Grice from George Fury, then Peter Brock, then Seaton, followed then by car number 3, which will be Jim Richards. Larry Perkins, the next man through. Then Graham Crosby, Gary Scott, Tony Longhurst, Andrew Badicki, Dickie Johnson, and Greg Hansford. Lap 1. 59 to go, and look at Brock. Locks out the front left as he goes into the hairpin. Pushing very hard, gets underneath the Nissan as they come out. Now we'll see just how quick these 5-litre cars are. Brock on the outside has to go the long way as they go down the very long Castrol back straight, and Grice all the time making every use of he can of the empty space.
Down towards Coca-Cola. Down on the inside comes Brocky in 0.5. Takes George Fury. That takes him back from the lead to third. And behind George is teammate Glenn Seaton. So the Commodores are really striking in the opening laps of this race. Keep in mind, as they get down to the tyre wear situation, they're going to be carrying that penalty. It's a 60-lap race today here at Symmons Plains for round 2. Coming beneath the strike now, the ISIS Tower, and it is Alan Grice who leads. Peter Brock in second spot. Fury going back now to dispute that, and here he comes, pulling out of the slipstream and down the outside here of Brock, forcing him to brake very hard indeed. George honestly wasn't going to carry on the outside, but he's going to feint a pass there and try and duck back on the inside. But Brock gets out of the turn, running very, very sharply indeed. Fury picks up the pace now. They come down to the right-hand sweeper, and George Fury all the way over Peter Brock. Meantime, Alan Grice setting a solid pace, holding probably half a second to a second lead over Peter Brock. Then the two Exodus and Skylines.
Well, quite surprisingly, that gap is now 2.5 seconds between the leader Grice and Brock in second. And the other mover in the field is Glenn Seaton in fourth position. There he is. He's come up from the disaster in the first lap where Jim Richards ran wide, and already is getting up very close to the back of his teammate's car. Grice disappearing in the foreground, then Brock in second, Fury, Seaton, Jim Richards still from Perkins, Crosby, Gary Scott struggling through the field. This is going to be a fascinating battle as we get towards the end of the race. Tyres will be ordinary, brakes will be ordinary, and already Peter Brock has got his hands full as he tries to hold out the Nissan.
Fairly fascinating already, Neil. Out of the hairpin again, Brocky, Fury, then Glenn Seaton. Jimmy Richards moving up very smartly behind them. He'll keep the pressure on. Brock starts to hold them up at any stage. He's certainly not holding them up here. Larry Perkins also within striking range of Jimmy Richards. And then back behind him, Graham Crosby, then Gary Scott in the second of the Mobile Commodores. The leader has bolted, but this is the real scrap of round 2 of the Shell Ultra Australian Touring Car Championship. Brocky in 0.5. George Fury, the following into him, and Glenn Seaton just tucking in there looking to see what happens.
That's what happened last week, you'll recall, in the opening round of the Shell Ultra Australian Touring Car Championship. George ended up behind Peter Brock for quite a number of laps, and he said that virtually cost him the race. It took a long time to recover from it. It was apparent that he was just a fraction quicker, but couldn't really do much about it for a long time. So Brock made great gains in the opening couple of laps, and Fury now appears to just have an edge but can't really get it to the ground.
What is surprising is the way that Brock has been able to bolt away from Fury in the last couple of laps at this part of the circuit. They're a little closer this time, though, as they head down to the right-hand sweeper.
And look also at Richards there well at the back of these cars, and Larry Perkins moving up, so this could rapidly become a 4 or 5 car battle for second place.
What Fury is aiming for is an inside run on Peter Brock, where Brock grabbed him a couple of laps ago there on the inside. Now Jimmy Richards joins the freight train. Coming out of Coca-Cola sweeper, now down towards Australian National Line turn. Picturesque part of the racetrack here. Brocky right behind him. Farmer Fury, then Glenn Seaton.
Lap 5, 55 to go. Alan Grice still has a 2.6 second advantage over Brock, and look at George Fury wandering through, trying to poke a way through on the inside. Now has to switch it back out to the conventional line, and Glenn Seaton lapping it up all the time. He's right in business now.
Okay, they come out of the hairpin corner again. Down to the sweeper. There's Jimmy Richards moving in, and Fury desperate to try and get the inside run down through here on Brock to the left-hander at Coca-Cola. Brocky is covering his tracks better than Inspector Clouseau at this time. Pulling it in here nice and tight, not allowing any inside passing here. So he is controlling Fury's race well and truly.
Well, he's going to end up with some traffic behind him. Larry Perkins is starting to tag into this as well. And notice on a couple of occasions there, Richard, that Brock's just having little momentary lock-ups in the front and rear brakes.
Yeah, at this stage of the race, I should think he's still playing about with the brake balance bar, and in between that, looking in his mirrors to see that Nissan right in behind him there. Fury looks again for a way past coming into the hairpin, but there's no way, and Brock's keeping it the door very firmly closed at the moment.
And I think the real surprise packet out of a 2.3 litre motor car has to be Jim Richards. He's actually catching these guys while they're involved in this battle.
Well,
this is the car that won its class last weekend in the under 2.5 litre class, and it's the one that everybody's watching.
No sooner had you said that than Perkins blew by him.
Well, he's obviously had some problems at the hairpin because he was right up behind Seaton the lap before. So it's Brock in second position from George Fury, then Glenn Seaton, Larry Perkins moving up very swiftly, then Jim Richards, Graham Crosby and Gary Scott.
Gricey is doing this so easily at the moment, though, not really abusing the tyres, understanding his car, still holding that 2-second advantage. We'll check that for you on the Castrol split shortly, but then nothing between second, third and fourth. And we'll look at the gap from the race leader back to Peter Brock. George Fury tries yet again in vain on the outside here. And we'll try and maybe get Brock on the inside at the end of the back straight. Let's take a look at the Castrol GTX race splits. Alan Grice, the race leader, 2.56 seconds clear of Peter Brock. And not much then back to George Fury. A 50th of a second, as you can see it. Our thanks to Castrol GTX.
Well, even as we compile that information, the gap is now out to 3.6 seconds. That's the sort of margin that Alan Grice enjoys over the field at the moment. So he's pulling about half a second a lap, which is pretty remarkable.
I think that may disappear as soon as Fury works away past Peter Brock there.
The way things are heading at the moment, that's going to take him a fairly long time. Brock is making absolutely sure there's no way past, keeping that door so firmly closed all the time.
Well, he's not doing anything wrong. He's trying to protect his second place. I mean, if they're strong enough, they can pass him in a straight line. At the moment, they can't. Then again, Brocky's making the track fairly wide for them as well.
Well, they're ganging up on him now, it seems.
So Brock again to the Shell hairpin, out of there, down towards the right-hand sweeper, and Fury's been trying to set him up here for the last couple of laps. Sit right in for the toe through here, and then jump up on the outside and try and outdistance him into the next corner. But just look at Brock now. If he swings across to the left-hand side of the road, which is exactly what he'll do, and close the gap here on George Fury. And that's about the only two parts of the circuit that Fury's got a hope of being able to pass the 05 Commodore. And guess who is making life incredibly difficult for the Peter Jackson Nissan team? That's simply sensational Symmons. It's Brocky. Grice, meantime, disappearing.
Yes, and disappearing at a rapid rate of knots. They changed camshafts in the Roadways engine this week. They used an unconventional camshaft last weekend, figuring that they were going to make some gains. They didn't, so they've gone back to what they had, and the car is obviously a lot quicker than it was the opening round. I've got the clock on Alan Grice. We'll see just how quickly he's circulating at the moment. And as Alan Grice leads away from Peter Brock and George Fury, I can tell you at that time round, Alan Grice recorded a 59.7 second lap time.
Fury and Peter Brock play cat and mouse at Symmons Plains through Coca-Cola. run down to Australian National Line corner. Here comes Larry Perkins joining the queue behind Brocky. Across the line again. So Peter Brock still protects that second spot. Here's the placings. Alan Grice leading the race. Brocky is second. Farmer Fury still third. Lucky 13 and 60 for round 2 of the Australian Touring Car Championship from Symmons Plains, Tasmania. And we've been following this fascinating scrap between Peter Brock, George Fury, Glenn Seaton and Larry Perkins. The gap's still about the same. Alan Grice in front, barnstorming away from the opposition. And George Fury just absolutely desperate. He has to get past Brock in the next couple of laps to have any chance whatsoever of running down the race leader, Alan Grice.
4.1 seconds is the gap between Grice and Brock, so he's continuing to just grab a tenth here and there. And still confusion for George Fury. How does he figure a way around Peter Brock? And all the time, this great sort of crocodile chain is building up at the back. There's Larry Perkins, Jim Richards.
Meantime, up front and leading the field is Alan Grice in the Bob Jane T-Mart's Commodore. Grice, you look like you're doing it very easy today.
Well, you look like you're doing your job pretty easy too, Mark.
Oh, you don't know the trials and tribulations. The car looks strong, you look good out in front, and you're building that gap up all the time.
Yeah, you never know when you're going to have a brake problem here, so it pays you to have a bit of a cushion.
Well, I tell you what, I think you must have paid Peter Brock to be your cushion for the afternoon. He's got them stacked up like cabs at the Central Railway Station.
Well, that's good, because his tyres are probably starting to go away shortly. They might give me a bit more space. I've got one little bit of a hassle that I've just kept my eye on. You probably noticed it on your dash. The alternator light's on.
Yes, we can see that very clearly. That's not good news.
No, that's not very encouraging, but you may have a look at the voltmeter on the left of it. You'll see that I'm still holding my charge pretty good. So at this point in time, I'm not too worried, but when that light comes on, it's normally a warning that it's the voltmeter may give out. This is the one I've got to watch, the voltmeter, because I'm running different gearbox pumps at the moment. They're all drawing current. So if I start to lose volts, I'll have to shut them down and run on pretty high temperatures, so we'll have to play it a bit by ear, mate.
Well, I'll let you continue your good lap times. Everything looks pretty good. I hope the light goes out for you, but the engine not.
Well, mate, why don't you give me a hand? You watch the gauges with your camera and I'll just do the driving.
That'd be sensational, but that'd be too easy. Okay, on you go. Good luck. We'll come back to you later.
Righto, mate.
So, sometimes it is handy to have the inside run of information with Racecam, and I think the graphic use of Racecam to the fore that time. So Grice really has a problem with the alternator light on and not knowing whether he's going to go the distance. In the meantime, he's going to make a bolt for the vault. George Fury still in third spot. Glenn Seaton sitting in behind the team leader. We don't know what's going through Glenn's mind at this stage, whether or not he believes that George can't carry on with it and he should poke the nose in there. But at this stage, he would be driving to instructions, and the shot's been called by Freddie Gibson in the pits.
Larry Perkins in fifth position, right behind him Jim Richards in the JPS BMW M3. Larry didn't seem to get the very best of starts, and there's Alan Grice. His lead now out to 5.1 seconds, and already with times down around the 59 mark, has well and truly broken the lap record, which was held for touring cars by Robbie Francevic at a time of 61.7. So they've trimmed about 2 seconds out of the old lap record held here from this time last year.
And of course, the interesting thing, we have a race going here today for second at this stage. Gricey looking pretty sharp. We'll go back through the field later, but this is where the scrap is. There's Larry Perkins and Jimmy Richards fairly close together coming out of the hairpin.
The performance of this little car is really extraordinary. 2.3 litres, fuel injected, not turbocharged, nothing super spectacular, and it really tags this 5-litre V8 very nicely down that back straight. In fact, it's got quite a few people scratching their heads at the moment as to why it goes so quickly. But about 965 kilograms, And Frank said that after last weekend they pulled up with 20 litres more in the tank than they originally budgeted for, so it's running a lighter fuel load than they need to today. So it really is a competitive package.
It has been suggested, of course, that BMW made the car for Amaroo Park and Lakeside because they're the circuits on which it should shine.
This is notorious as being a power circuit, the track where if you've got plenty of horsepower you tend to win. So if this little thing can mix it here, what's it going to be like when you get to Amaroo and Lakeside, those types of circuits? The other interesting thing is because of the bonus point structure of this year's Shell Ultra Australian Touring Car Championship, Jim Richards, even though he's back this far, and if he can finish in a top 4 or 5 placing, he's going to get bonus points. And for example, he's third in the Drivers' Championship, even though last weekend he finished back in 5th placing.
I think the BMW's biggest advantage seems to lie in the handling department. It is so quick around the corners.
But you still have to go quick in a straight line, and he still is tagging them down the straights.
Well, they come out of Coca-Cola corner. Round 2 of the Shell Ultra Championship. Spicy Gracie leads it from 0.